All right. Hey, good morning and or good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the day you're tuning into this. Um, my name is John Clauser. Welcome to my music corner of the world. I'm going to be doing a little series of videos here where I'm just going to kind of talk about myself a little bit, let y'all get to know me a little bit, and just some of the things that I'm interested in, um, and stuff that you probably will be seeing at some point on my little channel here. Um, Again, just to kind of get let folks get to know me a little bit. So today, I want to talk about professional wrestling or sports entertainment or scripted combat, however way you want to look at it. Um, Today, I'm wearing a Alabama 316 shirt. So on the back is I don't know if you can see a little bit. Maybe I could turn my back enough. There you go. Stone. It's a obviously a Stone Cold Steve Austin T-shirt. So, um, uh, I've had the pleasure of getting to go to um, when WWE comes into town. I've got a really good friend who we both love wrestling, and we've had the opportunities to go to SmackDown when it comes to Birmingham. So um, when they have like an Alabama T-shirt, specific Alabama or something like that, I thought, well, that's a cool thing to have. So um, I did that the last time, and I think it was a it was a Miz T-shirt. Not really a Miz fan, but it was pretty cool. So um, my introduction to wrestling actually came in 1978. Um, I have a friend that I have not seen in, oh Lord, lots of years. 1984, I think was the last time I saw this person. They live in Wisconsin now, but he was the one that actually turned me on to wrestling. I grew up, having grown up in Pennsylvania. That was WWF at the time territory. So, and I grew up in the Lehigh Valley, so they would do a lot of their weekly programming. They did a lot of taping there in Allentown, Pennsylvania, at the Ag Hall. So, to which I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I actually got to go to a couple of those tapings with my dad. But yeah, he introduced me to wrestling, and it was um, it was cool. You know, for somebody who pretty much I liked Kiss, and that was about the only thing. And kids didn't like me because I was, you know, fat or whatever. But um, wrestling was just kind of a cool thing, and I just enjoyed the heck out of it. You know, I think an early match I can remember would be like I remember Larry Zabisco and Tony Gurria in a tag match taking on the Lumberjacks, and I believe, and it was for the belts, I believe, and I believe Zabisco and Gurria won that match. So, so I knew who those folks were. If you would follow, I would come to know who Bob Backlund was. I would come to know who Bruno Sammartino was, and I came to greatly respect both those men. Uh, I vividly recall when Larry Zabisco turned on Bruno Sammartino. That was pretty crazy. The wrestling, the first wrestling event I ever got to go to was tapings, and it was the tapings right after that happened. So this was like the first time that they were doing tapings with Zabisco as a heel now, and he's just getting booed. Bruno's getting up and leaving the commentary area. Um, so I remember things like that, growing up. But it would just be something, I would they would have programming on like about 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and then they would do another program at midnight, which would be the rerun. It would rerun it the next week at 11. But I was like, oh, I got to stay up till midnight to watch this. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. Um, but that's just how it got me. I just fell in love with that early '80s late 70s, early 80s professional wrestling, and would follow it pretty close. For I would, I was pretty close for a while. Um, the first girlfriend I would have, she was also a wrestling fan. And when I moved to Salisbury, Maryland, we got to go to a event. We had gotten tickets separately from each other, but we were both in the front row. I was just on the other side of the ring from where she was. But that was pretty cool to go to that. There was a steel cage match with the British Bulldogs and Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake, I think it was. So um, that was just a regular house show, nothing fancy. We would go to a number of shows when WWE would be in town, and WCW. I would start going to some WCW shows as well. Um, that would continue on through the mid '90s. I went to a number of either house shows or nitros or Raws or whatever was in town. Um, and then somewhere about 1999, I decided to get away from it. I wasn't The Attitude Era at the time was getting just really a little too much for me, and I thought, where I was in my life, I needed to, I didn't need that being a temptation to me. So I actually got away from wrestling for a few years. I got back into it courtesy of a couple of different people. And so, I would kind of follow along, and then I kind of broke away, and eventually I just got sucked back into it. Um, so I today I'm not quite as I don't have cable anymore, so I don't follow a lot of stuff closely. Mostly on the dirt sheets. Once in a, I'll watch the live events or pay-per-views or whatever, but that's how I pretty much keep up with it. But I don't follow it quite as close. I think if you were to ask who are some of my favorite wrestlers were, I was always an Ultimate Warrior fan. Um, I always liked Bruno. I always liked Bob Backlund. Um, let's see. Um, as much as I hate to say this, I was also a Chris Benoit fan. Um, I just have to separate the man from the wrestler in that particular case. But I always liked him. Um, I actually liked ECW. The mid '90s ECW was, I liked the violence, which I know that was really over the top too, but that was really crazy. But I did like a lot of the ECW stuff from that. Um, Let me think. As far as like a lot of the current wrestlers, um, Daniel Bryan's or Brian Danielson. I still like him. Um, I was always a fan of. Now he goes by Malachi Black. I liked him as Aleister Black in NXT. I always thought he was really good. I liked Johnny Gargano. When he and Tommaso Ciampa would whatever they did, whether it was tag teaming or facing each other in the ring, I just thought they were always really good. Um, Other than that, I can't. I don't. Nobody really. There's like never anybody I'm like really anxious to watch in the ring um anymore. So I don't really know if I have a current favorite wrestler uh currently. Um I think of some of my favorite matches. I still love the Hogan Warrior match from WrestleMania 6. Probably one of my favorite matches for whatever reason. Um I like um trying to think of what other matches I that really sticks out to me. The Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes from AEW's first pay per view. That was amazing, and I was never really a big fan of either of those two, but that was a heck of a match. Um, um, if that comes, those are the ones that kind of comes to mind quickly. I don't know if there's like I'm sure there's many. I mean, Steamboat Savage, obviously from WrestleMania 3, is a classic. Um, I mean those three really come to mind quickly. Um, but I've always loved it. It's just been like a friend to me. So whether I'm into it or not is another story. But I've always enjoyed professional wrestling. I would love to talk wrestling, with folks. If anybody ever wants to talk about it, have if they want to talk some favorite moments, favorite theme songs, favorite wrestlers, favorite botches, favorite moves, whatever. Hey, hit me up. I'd be happy to do that. Um, like I said, wrestling's just been a friend to me, and I've met some good people over the way, especially at local shows. Um, this I want to share this picture right here. Uh, Hot Ice. I miss this guy. He was a super fan at global championship wrestling shows that would run here in Alabama. They haven't run any shows for a few years, and this he was a good guy. He loved his good guys, and he drove all the bad guys nuts. But I miss him. He passed away in 2016. Um, but he's a good guy, and his sister and his family are all good folks. Miss them. I haven't seen them in a few years, and I really need to get up with them. Um, but yeah, local wrestling shows were so much fun. I haven't been to one in so long, and I miss those too. So it'd be great to go to back to one of those. I would love to talk wrestling with anybody who ever wants to talk about it. So like, share, and subscribe. Hit me up in the comments. Let's talk. I'd love to have a conversation with you. So, with that said, this is John Clauser from my little music corner of the world, but I'm talking wrestling. So, we'll catch you soon. See ya.